I had dreamed about this vacation for months. 10 nights in Hawaii with my son, his wife, and my grandchildren. I paid for everything $20,000 in total. The ocean view suites, the snorkeling lessons, the rental cars, even the tickets for the luau. I told myself it was worth it. After all, memories with family are priceless, right? At least, that's what I thought. The airport buzzed with the usual energy families in floral shirts, luggage carts rattling, children laughing about the adventures that awaited. I wheeled my suitcase closer to the check-in counter, already picturing the smiles on my grandkids' faces when they saw the beach. That's when Simon, my son, spoke in a tone so flat it felt rehearsed. "Dad, there's a problem." My steps slowed. "What do you mean, a problem?" He wouldn't look at me, his eyes fixed on the departure board, his hands shoved into his pockets. "I forgot to buy you a ticket." For a moment, I thought I had misheard him. The noise of the terminal seemed to fade into silence, leaving only those words echoing in my head. "I forgot to buy you a ticket." "You what?" My voice came out hoarse, thinner than I intended. "Simon, we planned this for months. I gave you the money. $20,000. "I know," he muttered. "And we're grateful, Dad. But the flight's already boarding. Just go home. We'll call you from the hotel." Just go home. As if I was nothing more than a piece of baggage that didn't make the cut. I pushed my suitcase forward, refusing to accept it. At the counter, a woman in a neat blue uniform gave me a polite smile. "Good afternoon, sir. May I see your reservation?" "Lee Willis," I said quickly, clinging to hope. "There must be some mistake." Her fingers tapped across the keyboard. The smile faltered. "I'm not finding any reservation under that name. I do see a booking for Simon Willis, party of 4, departing today at 4:15, but no Lee Willis attached to the booking." I felt the ground shift beneath me. No, that can't be. Check again." She did, twice, each time the same. No ticket, no seat, nothing. Behind me, Simon moved closer. His grip suddenly clamped on my arm. "Dad, it's not going to work. You need to go home." I pulled away, my chest tightening with disbelief. "Simon, I paid for everything. The hotel, the activities, the meals. How can I not even have a ticket?" He finally met my eyes. And what I saw there wasn't guilt. It wasn't panic. It was relief. "You'll be fine, Dad," he said, already backing toward the security gate. "We'll send you pictures." Pictures. That was his plan. To buy my silence with postcards and fake smiles sent through a screen. Around me, travelers hurried past, clutching their tickets like golden keys to paradise. And I stood there empty-handed, my son disappearing into the crowd with everything I had given him. The airline agent's voice softened. "Sir, there's a Southwest red-eye with 2 stops. It arrives 2 days later, but it's the only option. The cost would be $1,800. I almost reached for my wallet. Almost. But then my phone buzzed. A text from Simon. "Sorry, Dad. Take care of yourself." Take care of yourself. As if I was a burden he'd finally shed. I slipped the phone into my pocket, turned toward the exit, and walked away not as a defeated old man, but as someone who had just discovered the truth. Because in that moment I realized something vital. This wasn't a mistake. It was planned, and they had no idea what I was about to do next. I didn't head straight home. I went back to the counter and lowered my voice. "One last thing. That booking under Simon Willis, when was it made?" The agent hesitated, then typed, "6 weeks ago, party of 4, 2 adults, 2 children." She glanced up, apologetic. "It's been unchanged since the day it was created." 6 weeks. Not a last-minute oversight. A decision. While I was talking about snorkeling lessons and luau's, they were planning a vacation without me, funded by me. Outside, the sliding doors hissed open and the wind off the bay cut through my shirt. I called a cab and sank into the back seat, the airport shrinking in the mirror. The driver eyed me in the rear view. "You look like a man who just had a conversation with the truth." "I did," I said. "Now I need receipts." By the time we rolled into the Oakland Hills, my hands had stopped shaking. I unlocked the front door, set my suitcase by the umbrella stand, and went straight to my office. Martha's oak desk polished, steady weighted like it always had when life needed sorting. I pulled the Hawaii 2025 folder from the drawer and spread everything out. Wire transfer confirmation, $20,000. Email thread, thanks Dad, I'll handle all the details. Hotel brochure, sunlit pools, families clinking glasses at sunset. Then I saw it Grand Wai'a Resort, Ocean View Suites for 7. Names listed in tiny print. Simon, Fern, Mia, Ethan, Pearl, Saul, and Martha Willis. My late wife. My name? Nowhere. My throat tightened, then went cold. Not a mistake, an erasure. They replaced me with a ghost to keep the numbers right on paper and me out of the picture. I picked up the landline. Some actions should make a sound. Grand Wai'a Reservations. This is Koa. Hi, Koa. I need to cancel a reservation under Willis. Ocean View Suites for 10 nights. Clicks on a keyboard, the warm hospitality voice measuring its next step. I do see that reservation, sir. Are you sure? There will be a cancellation fee. How much? $3,200. Cancel everything. A pause. Yes, sir. The system will note it was canceled by the primary booking party at 6:47 p.m. Pacific. Perfect. I hung up. Somewhere over the Pacific, they were passing juice boxes and promising the kids an ocean they wouldn't have rooms to see. I wasn't gloating. I was documenting. Because this wasn't going to be a shouting match at baggage claim. This was going to be clean, proportional, unmistakable. I made coffee, black and steady, then opened the filing cabinet Martha had labeled in her careful hand. Family support. Transfers to Simon's mortgage, 5 figures, years in a row. Tuition checks marked gift, Christmas loans that never returned, violin lessons, soccer fees, deductibles paid, a dozen quiet rescues. The line between generosity and being used had been crossed so slowly I didn't notice until today when they sprinted past it. By midnight, my phone lit up like a storm front. Unknown Hawaii number. Missed call. Another. Then texts. Dad, urgent. Hotel says reservation vanished. Call now. Kids are crying. This isn't you. I turned the phone face down and wrote in a notebook. May 15, 6:47 p.m. Reservation canceled by payer. Airport abandonment documented. 4:12 p.m. Just go home. At 5:06 a.m. Hawaii time, the call finally aligned with my coffee. I answered. Dad, thank God. The hotel says. I know what the hotel says, I replied. Tell me what you told me at the airport. Silence. Then, Dad, don't do this. Think about the kids. I did think about the kids. That's why I paid for an entire family vacation. Fern's voice floated in, tight and practical. Lee, be reasonable. I kept mine even. Reasonable is what I was when I transferred $20,000. Reasonable is what you were not when you told me to go home. Simon's tone hardened. If you don't fix this, you're going to regret it. I wrote the words down, slowly, legibly, threats recorded. I'm not fixing anything, I said. I'm correcting it. The line filled with their chaos, whispered arguments, a child's hiccuping sob, the clatter of luggage. I ended the call. My phone rang again. I turned it off. The house settled into its quiet, the old clock in the hall marking each decision with a soft, confident tick. Then I pulled a card from the drawer. Harland and Associates, Estate and Family Law. Bruce had helped me when Martha passed. He understood dignity. He understood paper. I dialed and left a message in a voice I barely recognized, calm, final. Bruce, it's Lee Willis. I need to set boundaries. Call me first thing. Outside, dawn was peeling open the sky over the Oakland Hills, and I realized something else. They expected me to be the man who would swallow humiliation for the sake of peace. They were about to meet the man who keeps records and knows exactly what to do with them. The next morning, the sunlight streaming through my curtains felt sharper, cleaner, like the first light after a storm. I brewed a fresh pot of coffee and turned my phone back on. 56 missed calls. Voicemails stacked one after the other, each more desperate than the last. "Dad, please, call me back. This isn't funny, we've got nowhere to go. The kids are crying, Fern's panicking, the hotel lobby won't let us stay here all night." Every message dripped with the panic of people who had gambled with my trust and lost. I listened to a few, then deleted the rest. Their problems were self-made. By mid-morning, Bruce called me back. "Lee, I got your message. Why don't you come into the office this afternoon? Bring any documentation you have." I drove into San Francisco, calm, steady. Bruce's office sat on the 15th floor, overlooking the bay, all glass and polished wood. He welcomed me with the same firm handshake he'd offered after Martha passed. "Tell me everything," he said, legal pad ready. I laid out the story piece by piece, the wire transfer, the hotel paperwork, the canceled booking, the threats over the phone. Bruce listened, nodding occasionally, jotting notes. Then I slid my notebook across the desk, showing him Simon's words. "You're going to regret this, old man." Bruce frowned. "That's coercion, Lee. Combined with 20 years of financial dependency, we have a strong case to restructure your estate. If you want Simon excluded, we can make that legally airtight." I sat back in the leather chair, Martha's voice echoing in my memory. "Sometimes kindness gets mistaken for weakness. Don't let people confuse the two." "I want him completely cut out," I said. "No inheritance, not a penny." Bruce nodded. "We'll redirect your assets to causes that actually deserve them: children's education, scholarships, senior care. And we'll make sure Simon can't contest it. Are you prepared for the fallout?" I thought about my grandchildren, their laughter, their little arms wrapping around me at Christmas. They didn't deserve the mess their father had made. But any money left in Simon's hands would never truly reach them. "I'm prepared," I said firmly. The rest of the meeting moved quickly: witnesses, notarizations, video documentation of my competency. Bruce was thorough, professional, precise. By the time I left, the framework of a new will was in place. That night, I slept better than I had in months. No late-night planning lists, no anxious thoughts about packing or flights. Just the quiet peace of a man who had finally drawn a line. 3 days later, Bruce called again. "The documents are ready for signing." In his conference room, with his secretary and a paralegal present, I signed my name 23 times. Each signature was another nail in the coffin of Simon's entitlement. Each seal and witness signature was another barrier between me and decades of exploitation. When it was finished, Bruce closed the folder with a satisfying snap. "It's official. Simon Willis is excluded from your estate. The charitable organizations are now the beneficiaries. This will is ironclad." Driving home, I felt lighter. The city stretched out in front of me, the skyline glowing in the late afternoon light. Martha would have been proud. Justice, not messy revenge, but clean, undeniable justice was now written in law. Meanwhile, in Hawaii, Simon was still trying to salvage his ruined vacation, still telling himself I would cave, still believing that I was the man who would always write another check. He didn't know it yet, but that man was gone, and the new man was waiting for him at the airport when he came home. 2 weeks passed before their return flight. 2 quiet, steady weeks in which I reclaimed my routine's: morning walks through the neighborhood, afternoons reading in Martha's chair, evenings spent in the soft rhythm of a life without constant demands. My phone stayed off most of the time, the silence like a balm. But I wasn't idle. Bruce and I confirmed every detail. The documents were signed, notarized, sealed, and stored in his firm's vault. He even arranged for certified copies, one of which sat in my desk drawer like a shield. Every angle was covered. The day their flight landed, I drove to San Francisco International with Bruce at my side. We waited in the arrivals hall, the crowd buzzing with the joy of reunions. Tanned families carried duty-free bags. Children dragged stuffed animals. Couples kissed beneath the fluorescent lights. And then I saw them. Pearl emerged first, chattering about souvenirs. Saul trailed behind, quiet as always, lugging bags. Fern appeared with the kids, Mia with a plastic ukulele, Ethan with a lei still around his neck. Their faces lit up when they spotted me. "Grandpa!" They ran to me, arms wide, voices bursting with excitement. For a moment, my heart softened. I knelt, hugging them tight, breathing in their innocence. Then Simon appeared, Hawaiian shirt loose, sunglasses hanging from his collar, phone in hand. He froze when he saw me, and froze harder when his eyes landed on Bruce, portfolio tucked under his arm. The color drained from his sunburned face. "Dad," he said slowly, wary, "what are you doing here?" "Welcoming you home," I answered calmly. "How was the vacation?" Before he could speak, Bruce stepped forward, his voice clipped and professional. "Mr. Simon Willis, this is a copy of your father's revised last will and testament, executed on May 25th, 2025. He handed over the sealed envelope with the gravity of a summons. Simon took it with trembling hands. Fern leaned over his shoulder as he tore it open, scanning the dense legal text. I watched the recognition spread across his face. Confusion, disbelief, then a creeping horror as he reached the section that mattered most. This can't be real," his voice cracked. "You disinherited me?" "Yes," I said, steady as stone. "For 20 years I supported you. Mortgage payments, tuition, medical bills. I paid for this vacation, and you left me at the airport like trash. Actions have consequences." Fern's voice was tight, desperate. "Lee, please, think of the children." "I did," I replied. "That's why I funded scholarships in their name. Money they'll never see filtered through Simon's hands." Simon's face twisted. He balled up the papers, then smoothed them frantically, as if the words might vanish. "You can't do this. I'll contest it." Bruce's tone was calm, but cutting. "The will is ironclad. Video proof of your father's competency, documented threats, financial records. Contesting would only cost you more." Simon's voice rose, loud enough to turn heads. "You're throwing away your family over one mistake." "One mistake?" I leaned forward, my voice low but sharp. "You took $20,000, erased my name from the trip, and told me to go home. That wasn't a mistake. That was betrayal." Mia tugged on my sleeve, whispering, "Grandpa, why is Daddy yelling?" I crouched to her level, brushing her hair back gently. "Sometimes adults forget that love isn't about money, sweetheart. It's about respect." Simon's jaw worked, but no words came out. The paper shook in his hands, proof of the one thing he couldn't undo. For the first time, he understood. The bank of Dad had closed forever. And there, in the middle of a crowded airport, surrounded by returning vacationers, Simon learned the lesson he thought he'd never have to face. The noise of the airport seemed to fade into a muffled hum, as if the entire terminal was holding its breath. Simon stood frozen, clutching the documents like they might dissolve if he squeezed hard enough. Fern's lips moved in silent calculation, her mind already racing through numbers, lost opportunities, a future rewritten in ink she couldn't erase. Pearl, usually so talkative, fell into uneasy silence, her eyes darting between me and Simon, realizing too late that the family she thought was stable had been fractured long before this moment. Saul just lowered his gaze, the quiet weight of an accountant who had seen debts come due and now watched the largest one of all being collected. "Dad," Simon rasped, his voice raw, stripped of all bravado, "you can't mean this. I'm your son." "Yes," I said calmly, my voice steady as granite. "My son. The man who left me abandoned at an airport after taking $20,000. The man who replaced me with his dead mother's name on a hotel booking. The man who told me, 'Go home, Dad. You made your choice. This is mine.'" Fern stepped forward, her tone desperate now. "Lee, please, Think about Mia, about Ethan. They're innocent. Don't punish them for—" I cut her off. "I am thinking about them. That's why I gave scholarships in their names. They'll leave behind more than a ruined vacation. They'll leave behind a legacy their father never could have built." Simon's jaw clenched, his face twisted, with something between rage and panic. "You're going to regret this." Bruce's voice sliced in, calm, final. "Mr. Willis, your father's decision is legally protected. Every threat you make only strengthens his case. The law isn't on your side anymore." Simon's hand shook, the papers rattling in the stale airport air. He looked around, perhaps hoping for allies in the watching crowd. But all he found were strangers, with pity in their eyes. For once, no one believed him. I placed a hand on Mia's shoulder, looking down into her wide, worried eyes. "Sweetheart," I said softly, "grown-ups sometimes have to make hard choices. This is one of them." Her little arms wrapped around my waist, simple, innocent love untainted by greed. Ethan followed, burying his face against my jacket. Their embrace was the only warmth I needed. I straightened, meeting Simon's broken stare one last time. "This isn't revenge, Simon. This is justice. You taught me what I meant to you. Now you know what you mean to me." Without another word, I turned, Bruce at my side, the children's voices still ringing in my ears. The crowd parted silently, watching an old man walk away not as a victim, but as someone who had taken back his dignity. As the automatic doors slid open, the cool San Francisco air washed over me. For the first time in years, I felt light, free. Martha's words echoed in my mind. Kindness is not weakness. Simon had mistaken one for the other, and now, with nothing left in his hands but a ruined vacation and a stack of papers he couldn't fight, he finally understood the cost. Because the truest revenge isn't loud or cruel or violent. It's simple. It's permanent. It's making sure the people who betrayed you can never do it again. And that was exactly what I had done.